Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever it is for you. For me, it is just past midnight on Thursday, April 24th, 2025. Day one, and that makes this the news for Wednesday, April 23rd, day 1155 of Vladimir Putin's war of aggression against the people of Ukraine. How do you do? I'm Peter Alexievich, and this is the Live at 5, coming to you live from Kyiv, this major European capital that is currently under siege. I see the peeps are coming in. Hey, Kreger. Hey, PH. Hey, Lars. How's everybody doing tonight? Oh, shoot. Let me look at that. Hey, Chef Deb. Hey, Nightshade. I'm plugging along, Mike. It's a busy week. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Day. Or is it Die? Is it Die or Day? I always wondered. G2, Tisno, Croatia's in the house. I'm dreaming of a beach. Tisno, can you get me to a beach? I sure would like to see the Adriatic, boy. Oh, it's David. It's short for David. Okay. Let me just take a look at something here real quick before I forget. Oh, right. Our sponsor for tonight's live would like to remain anonymous, which is very interesting to me. Oh, it's Welsh. Interesting. So I'm going to mention, so we have an anonymous sponsor tonight who I'm very grateful to. But I also want to mention Jerry O, my buddy in Ireland, who regularly tries to help me out. And I really appreciate it, Jer. So we have an anonymous and Jerry O. Thank you, guys. Hey, Grotland. Hey, Nicola. David, how you doing? Oh, Krager, art of the deal. You got to be kidding me. Hey, Bobby. Hey, Michael Boucher. How's life in Phoenix? It was 82 here today. 82, that's 27 Celsius. 82, hey, Thomas. 82 in Kyiv today. We went right from winter right to summer. Oh, good. I'm glad you're feeling better. Hey, Arne. Eli. There's a couple of our regular live sponsors. And again, tonight's live sponsor wanted to remain anonymous, which was very charming. And I'm also going to mention Jerry O, who's a regular supporter. No, I know who it is. She just does not want me to mention her name, which is fine, right? There's something to be said for humility. Never let the right hand know what the left hand is doing. As Jesus said. That is the exact opposite of Trump, right? Trump, who wants credit for things he didn't even do. Hey, Fitz. Hey, Christopher. Who wants credit for things he didn't even do. We got the Axios, published all the details of, they were actually published in a number of places. I read a bunch of different sources today. AP, Reuters, everybody had the details of Trump's peace scam. And it was infuriating to read. Just infuriating. This son of a bitch. The things that he thinks and the way he expresses himself. And it was no peace plan. It was a demand that Ukraine surrender to Russia and give Russia everything it wants. It was a reward to the aggressor in contravention of all international law and our own commitments. And it is worth pointing out that today, Zelensky posted on Twitter, I think it was on Twitter, it was on one of the social media platforms. Trump Secretary of State Mike Pompeo back in 2018, his position paper on Crimea and Ukraine where he said very specifically, we recognize that Crimea is Ukraine, in line with all international agreements and international recognition of the borders of Ukraine. Crimea is Ukraine, period. What did Donald Trump want from the Ukrainians? To acknowledge Russian ownership of Crimea. Now, look, you can say, as Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary for the White House, said today, they don't have to acknowledge that it's Russian, right? We're going to acknowledge that it's Russian. What? Who the fuck are you? Who is the United States to dictate these terms? Who is the United States to send flowers to Vladimir Putin in the form of the surrender of Ukraine, 20% of Ukraine's territory plus Crimea, shut down the tracker system, looking for stolen Ukrainian children in Russia, shut it down. Shut down the task force to investigate Russian oligarchs. Shut down the task force to seize Russian oligarch property. Shut down the investigation and all of the support and forensics teams engaged in the war crimes prosecution of Russians for the over 200,000 documented war crimes here in Ukraine. It's outrageous to see the United States kiss the ass of this dictator autocrat in the Kremlin. We are just bending over to kiss the ass of the Kremlin. It's insanity of the first order. Now, what were these conditions that have me so upset, right? Think back. They do, Krager, right? The Trump and Vance and his coterie of goblins and ghouls are in Russia's pocket. They work for Russia. When you look at all the insane things that Trump is doing, where nothing makes any sense, all of a sudden it makes perfect sense if you believe he's a Russian agent. Everything he does benefits Russia. Deprecating NATO benefits Russia. Getting rid of NATO, Russia's fondest wish, to have NATO gone and to see Europeans at each other's throats, right? Benefits the Kremlin. Devaluing of the U.S. currency. The dollar is plunging in its value. The ruble is now the best performing currency in the world, having recouped 22% of its losses from its high. Well, Johnny boy, nobody sent them any money. Like, that's the first thing. The Trumpists have this idea that somehow C-130s with palletfuls of $100 bills are landing here in Kyiv. That is not how any of this works, pal. Right? Do you understand? We sent, 300 maybe ATACMS missiles with a price tag of $1 million apiece. So that's $300 million in ATACMS, right? Bullshit. The production dates on those were 1986, 87, 88. Ronald Reagan paid for them. And he paid for them to destroy Russian hardware and Russian troops. So we're charging now the Ukrainians $300 million for ATACMS that were expired, that we were going to spend tens of millions of dollars on anyway to get rid of. We sent them to the Ukrainians. They put them to good use. And then you know what we did? We ordered more for ourselves, brand new shiny ones for our boys. And I could go down the list like this all night. We're modernizing the U.S. military. For 5% of 1 year's budget, the Ukrainians, with their blood, have destroyed the Soviet stockpiles that made Russia strong, in our eyes anyway, right? In our eyes, in the eyes of the West, we saw Russia strong because they had all these huge stockpiles. But they're so incompetent, they don't know how to use them. And Putin is so afraid of insurrection. Evening, Poppy Josh. Thank you, Mike Kelly. Putin is so afraid of insurrection. He's so afraid of anybody that gets popular inside Russia that he's not letting the army function as an army. We're seeing the biggest assault that we have seen on the front line happen today in Zaporizhia, where we haven't seen a large mechanized assault in 2 years. We saw 50 armored vehicles, a few tanks, mostly MTLBs, BTRs, that kind of thing. Armored personnel carriers, right? Battle taxis, if you will. 50 of them. Attack in the town of Kyiv, 300 men. 300 men. That's the biggest single assault that we have seen in 18 months. 18 months, probably. 300 men. Most assaults are company level. 30 guys or less on foot most of the time these days because armor is in such short supply. For that 5% of the U.S. Pentagon budget, what is it, 22,000 armored personnel carriers have been destroyed by the Ukrainians? The Russians are rapidly approaching 11,000 tanks destroyed in Ukraine. That's as many as they lost in World War II. I mean, come on. You got to be kidding me. Hey, there's my buddy Dan Ballard. Hey, Daniel, how you doing tonight? That's as many tanks as Russia lost in World War II. I mean, artillery, Lars, you're right. Do you know yesterday we saw 85 a whopping 85 artillery pieces destroyed? The god of war is dead, ended by his own progeny, the generation of drones. It's amazing. I mean, it really, the Ukrainians have done so much with so little for so long. I swear to God, they could do anything with nothing. Hey, does anybody have $4 million handy? You know, I do not get involved in fundraising. I have really avoided fundraising. But I just learned that there are 2,000 potential soldiers in Colombia. Colombia has been a great source of recruiting for the Ukrainians because they have a mandatory 2 year, I think it's 2 years service in the military there. And their guys are all trained in jungle combat to combat the cartels. So they've seen real action with very limited resources in very difficult conditions. So the Colombians make great soldiers. And there are lots of Colombians in the International Legion. What I just found out, I just learned that there are 2,000 Colombians who have been approved for service in the Ukrainian army. But the battalion doesn't have the money to get them here. So they're bringing them in 10 at a time, right? It costs about $2,500 a head to get them from Colombia to Ukraine. So you're talking with 2,000 soldiers, you're talking roughly 4.5 million, I think, is what I did the math. And it's crazy to me that there's 2,000 Colombians waiting to come to Ukraine to fight right now at this critical point. And we can't get them here because nobody has the money. A lousy $4.5 million, you know? That is not first class, Dave. David, that is not first class. Or does anybody have a C-130 or a or a big old jet airliner that we could borrow to get them here? The battalion doesn't have the money. There's no money in this country, Franklin. This country saw a 46% decline in its gross domestic product since the start of the war. There is no money here, man. I mean, that's how I live on $1,500 a month and the occasional sponsorship, right? If anybody, Trump's plane, could we get him on Trump's plane? If anybody has any ideas about how we might help with that, I'm going to talk to some people and see if there isn't something we can do. Because that's crazy to me that there's 2,000 men in Colombia that could be here fighting. And they're good soldiers. They're crazy. They're nutso. They want to be on the front line. I mean, the Colombians, they are really... I knew some of those guys from the International Legion's 2nd Brigade. And now they've siphoned them off into the 47th Colombian Brigade. So, yeah, Thomas, that might be the way to go, a GoFundMe. You know, Michael, that's a good question. Is there some money in Europe somewhere? Or could the Ukrainians get their hands on those frozen Russian assets? Oh, Coconut Balls suggests that Zelensky sells out one of his multi-million-dollar mansions because that's a real thing, right? Zelensky is just rolling in multi-million-dollar mansions. You know, like, I mean, are you sitting in St. Petersburg or do you just repeat the bullshit that they tell you to repeat? Because nobody here believes what you are saying because we know it's a lie, right? Do you see how that works? You can't lie to people that know the truth. It's just that simple. Anyway, trolls are boring tonight. They have nothing new, man. They recycle the old lies, the old bullshit. It's really, I'm telling you, ever since Putin offed Prigozhin, there you go. There you have it. Ever since Putin got rid of Prigozhin, Russian disinformation has been shit. It really has been. Don't the Ukrainians have an Antonov transport? It's a great question. I mean, they must, right? Antonov is a Ukrainian-based company. They build those things. One would think so. The problem is no business here has any money coming in. Everybody's doing their best to avoid bankruptcy. But Antonov, now I know a designer over at Antonov, actually. That's a good point. That's a good point. Banksy could do a fundraiser. Do you know Banksy Hobo? Can you get in touch with him? I don't know that a ship would be cheaper, Thomas. I don't know that that would be true because you have to then feed and you know, provide toilet sanitation and everything for 2,000 guys for several days. And then where do they land? They can't come into the Black Sea. Turkey's not going to let them into the Black Sea. So it's not like they can just sail to Odessa. So then you still have the problem of transporting them over a land route from wherever they get off the ship. Wait a second. What former Russian plane is in Canada? Right? There's Russian planes all over the world that have been seized because of because they didn't pay their storage fees or their hangar fees or whatever it is. It's an AN-124. I don't know what that is. Thanks, Ramiro. I'm saying Ramiro because I will butcher your first name if I say it. The Ukrainian one flew with spare parts. Hold on, I'm just going to make a note of this. Let me just jot this because that's interesting. If there's an Antonov A24 or 124 in Canada, I mean, could it carry troops? Is the cargo bay heated? Will they freeze to death en route? Could the Ukrainians even handle all 2,000 at once? That's another concern, right? 2,000 guys at one time is a lot for the Ukrainians. So I don't know that they could handle them. But I am going to write that bit down. Hold on. Okay, good. Steve with a V is saying yes. Interesting. You guys are great, man. That was a good brainstorming session there. I like that. I don't know if it'll do any good, but it can't hurt to have the conversation, that's for sure. And it can't hurt for me to do a little follow-up. I do know somebody at Antonov. That's a good point. Okay. What else is going on? Everybody's excited. Did everybody see my video about with the pictures of the 51st GRAU Arsenal? And in every picture, there's like one fire extinguisher. Have I heard from the Dragon lately? Dragon is doing good, man. He's busy. He's a busy guy. He's a very busy guy. But this weekend, I'm actually going over to his mother's summer house to help her with the garden. We're going to do some gardening this weekend. I'm very excited. I haven't done any gardening. I don't have any, I'm in an apartment, right? What am I going to do? And I don't get enough sun to grow my own vegetables here. I have tried. But I just don't get enough sun to make it worthwhile. So, Dragon is doing just fine, Michael. I will mention that you asked. He actually texted me today asking me about another live. And so we may have him back. Lars, I don't know that anybody can get close to the fire yet. The official statement from the governor of Vladimir, Russia, was that the fire is slowly dying. I think it was translated as slowly dying. Now, as far as I know, there's still a state of emergency for 3-mile radius. It's about 5-kilometer radius. Everybody's been evacuated. All the roads are closed. There are lots of reports of debris hitting as far out as 10 kilometers. Bits of mortars and rockets and missiles raining down on people's cars, homes, front yards, etc. OSHA would have been triggered by the pictures. Now, the Russians, this is the crazy part, in my opinion. The Russians say that it was an accident, a safety breach caused by their own people, that it was not a drone strike. Now, Herb sent me video today. I don't know if Herb is here, but Herb sent me some video today. I couldn't validate it. I couldn't confirm it. But boy, it looked like a jet-propelled drone slamming into the arsenal. That's what it looked like. Now, hard to say. and I could not geolocate it. But that's certainly what it looked like. Ukraine is still keeping its mouth shut. I have yet to hear any official confirmation from Kyiv that they struck that facility. Now, here's the thing. The video that I saw showed what I think was a drone, but from the sound, it was a jet drone. But it looked like a little Cessna. It looked like a small plane. I don't know of any Ukrainian drones that look like that have jet engines. None that I'm aware of. So it's now I'm not a drone expert, but I try to keep up with what the Ukrainians are doing a lot of shit. I try to keep up. I don't know of a drone that looks like a plane that has a jet engine. All the jet engine drones that I've seen, the Pelcos, the Neptunes, they look like missiles. They don't look like little planes. This was a little plane. But it very definitely was powered by a jet engine. Could it be that the Ukrainians have some new long-range capability that they are not broadcasting, that has the power to avoid Russian air defense 500 miles across Russia, past Moscow, the most heavily defended airspace on the planet right now, fly right past it, and then kaboom in Vladimir, Russia. And the Ukrainians aren't talking about it because, of course, they want to keep it secret as long as they can. Could be. Could be. We don't know. Could it just be that the Ukrainians have figured out a way to avoid air defense, a path for the drones to follow, and they don't want the Russians to know that they know the path to avoid air defense? Exactly fits, right? The Ukrainians have to walk a very thin line between garnering support from the West by showing off their innovative weapons technology and bringing investment into the country because of it, and operational security around weapons platforms development so that the Russians are surprised. That's a very fine line to walk. Hey, Flippy, Belgium's in the house, everybody. Say hi to Flip. I had the great good fortune of meeting Flip and the wife when they were in town. We went out for a very nice dinner. Thanks, Flip. So nice to see you, buddy. Now, the satellite images are not yet available. We're waiting for the satellites to pass over. We're waiting for the commercial satellite providers to make the pictures commercially available. And then we're waiting for someone else to pay for them, and then I'll steal them from them and share them with you. If you don't have $4 million, if anybody ever wants to buy me some satellite images, you can feel free. That'd make a great Christmas present. Hey, Mel. Oh, you guys are coming back in August. Awesome sauce. Coming to see the mother-in-law? Do you think EU and UK will be able to support Ukraine to keep them fighting? Yes, I do. It's just that they're out of practice. For 80 years, since Europe was trashed by the last mustache man, Europe has depended on the United States for its defense. They basically outsourced their defense to us in the US. And it's a great role for us to have. It drove our military to be state of the art, to have the best of everything in spades, to be the most competent, efficient fighting force on the planet, with the most efficient expeditionary force, as well as the logistics to manage such a force and provide for it. It made us leaders in the world. Well, now that's all just too much work. And it's not easy enough to line our pockets from that. So Trump is abandoning it all. So the Europeans are out of practice at providing their own defense. They're certainly capable of it. They certainly have the economy for it. It's just a question of finding the political will. And the political will come when the Europeans see that if Russia wins, they are going to be facing a big squeeze between a new reinvigorated imperialist Russia hell-bent on rebuilding its empire and this new this recrudescence of fascist elements in the United States hell-bent on destroying American power in the world, while at the same time recreating an expansionist corporate oligarchy with Trump as president for life. And Europe in the middle. If Europe doesn't step up now and help Ukraine defeat Russia, they're going to be facing those two adversaries. I am absolutely convinced of it. Mike, I'm in Ukraine. If I had gummies here, I would eat them. But it's very hard to find that shit here. Hey, Chris Carter. Europe is spinning up its weapons industry and restructuring defense. There are people in Europe that get it. EU 10 times larger than the Russian economy? I don't think so, Bobby. I want to say that Europe is 40 times the size of the Russian economy. 40 times, not 10 times. The Russian economy is only $2 trillion a year. Fucking $2 trillion a year. Your whole economy. And you have half the people of the United States? America grew its economy in the last 5 years by $5 trillion. That's 2.5 Russias. That's 2.5 Russias. That's just our growth in the last 5 years. Now, Trump, of course, is doing his level best to destroy all of that. But that's it. Steve McSteven says small amounts of Ukrainian territory have been reclaimed by Ukraine in the Donetsk region near Pokrovsk. And that's an accurate statement to make. Although I wouldn't limit it just to Pokrovsk. We've seen some Russian positions fall back to the Ukrainians around Pokrovsk, Toretsk, Volchansk, and recently in Zaporizhia as well. You guys can hear that, I assume. Yep, the air alarms are sounding. It looks like we're coming under an air raid alert. Norway alone has nearly 500 billion in GDP. Norway alone is 500 billion. Norway alone is 1/4 the economy of the Russian Federation. You do, RK News. Let me see here. Is it really 2.7 million miles? That's interesting. Hey, Laddie. Hey, Feisty. Put on that brain bucket. I thought you looked familiar, Russell. Okay. Yeah, but I never saw RK News before. Is that new? Michael, come on. Oh man, I forgot to look up those Martlet missiles, Mel. I'm glad you said that because I don't know anything about them and I want to find out about them. Why can't we stop all oil and gas exports from Russia? Because the political will does not exist, Jimbo. Ukraine has been very careful not to affect the price of global oil supplies. They have never hit, until very recently, any of the export channels, export pipelines for Russian oil at all. Now, that is changing. And it's changing for good reason. Trump's tariffs have every economist that's paying attention predicting a global recession. And that's exactly what's going to happen. The tariffs are anti-business, they're pro-inflationary. They are job killers. Intel just announced they're laying off 1/5 of their workforce. After we, the American taxpayers, just spent billions on the CHIPS Act and invested in Intel, they're laying off 20% of their workforce. Good for you, Russell. We need more of that. I don't know what the fighting girls are. I don't know what that means. Russia is not getting top dollar. Russia is the price of a barrel of Urals crude. The last I saw, it's hovering right around $55, $56 a barrel, which is basically the break-even point for the Russian Federation. They make a little bit of money if they're putting it in a pipeline to China. But if they got to put it on a boat, no, that's the break-even point. It's not even 100 days, Eli. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. So March had 31 days, right? February had 28. That's 59. Another 10 for January. That's 69. Ooh. And it's the 24th of April. What is that? That's 8. Okay, so we are coming up very quickly on 100 days. You're right. You're right. So it's basically 100 days. The women of Ukraine fighting in the war. Yes, the women of Ukraine fight in the war. They distinguish themselves particularly as saboteurs in partisan groups like the Eye that was responsible for poisoning 27 Russian officers at a dinner in one go. Famous for poisoning the entire barracks at a military post in Crimea. And then a wild chase by the FSB. But they got away. And of course, as snipers. Eli, you won't recognize the United States if Donald Trump is allowed to stay in office for 4 years. There won't be a United States. There will be a new imperial America. And we will absorb Canada as a colony for extraction, for the extraction economy. And we'll do the same to Greenland. Strip mine the whole place and leave an empty shell when these people are done. Oh, hey, Kara. Your signal chat came in just as I started the live, so I don't know what it said. And nobody cares that you can't change the duet on it. It was just the irony of it all. I had a whole Inception theme in my mind. Everybody say hi to Dr. K, our favorite political scientist, and previously a guest on this channel. Feisty, if the American military wants Canada, we're taking Canada. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want to. It's a crime and a sin, and it's obscene But Donald Trump doesn't care about any of that. I love Canada, don't get me wrong. And I look forward to supporting the resistance. But if he gets his way, there's no way. I hope you're right, Mel. I hope you're right. There you go, Kreger. The problem is, Kreger, you're talking about Americans. I'm talking about the Trump army. The Trump army will not give a fuck. American soldiers distinguish themselves with honor. That will no longer be the case. It will be World War III if Trump tries that, yes. Look, pal, I'm not saying that this is something I want to see happen or even that it's likely. All I'm saying is, if you have a madman in the White House, how many nukes does Canada have? I want to say 500, 700. You guys are nuclear armed, right? You haven't been counting on the U.S. umbrella to protect yourselves? The problem is, Kreger, here's the problem. If Trump bankrupts the American people, if he trashes everybody's 401ks, and everybody is so desperate, just trying to pay the rent and feed their children, good night, Nightshade. It's very science fiction. I apologize for going off into a speculative discussion like that. All right, questions, comments, points of observation or personal need. I always thought Canada had some nukes. No nukes in Canada? Okay. He is. His goal is to make you despair. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. That is his goal. There's no two ways about it. Right. It's because it's not just a man. It's the whole party. It's the whole party. And Flip, that's a reasonable thing to say, right? That the American servicemen would not follow these orders today. He's cleaning out the Pentagon. Trey, it is crazy that the American people can't see it. Oh, Trump is well on his way to turning the USA into Russia. Yes, he is. He's alienated us in the world. He is crashing the dollar. We have seen now, I think the last count was $14.5 trillion in stock market value disappear. We're already seeing supply chain issues and shortages. I mean, that's the thing that I don't understand with these Trumpists. When Trump says he's going to tariff everything and we're going to bring production back to the U.S., do none of them notice that their MAGA hats are still made in China? That he's never brought his own merch back into America? I mean, what the hell? And then there's things like we can't produce. We'll never produce chocolate, cocoa, or coffee, or avocados. We're never producing those things. It's not going to happen. So by putting a tariff on them, all you're doing is increasing the price. Now, of course, you're making up tax revenue for those big tax breaks you just gave your billionaire friends. So instead of taxing the people that benefit from the greatest engine of wealth creation in the world the most, instead of taxing them, you're going to tax the people that like avocado toast on a Sunday. Empty shelves in the USA by summer. I understand it's already a problem in some product lines, Bobby. But I don't know. I'm not there. I don't know Trump or Musk to be large landowners. The biggest landowner that I know in the United States is, oh God, what's his name? He hit on my wife one time at a Christmas party. Ted Turner, right? Ted Turner owns basically all of Wyoming. I think he's one of the biggest landowners in the United States. Everybody talks a lot about how the Chinese are buying up farmland. They don't own anything. It's a tiny little piece of a percentage of America. And it makes sense for the diversification of their own agricultural product sets. It's a hedge against starvation. And when you got 1.5 billion people to feed, you need hedges against starvation. I don't know. Does Bill Gates own a lot of property? I used to work for him. I used to work at the Microsoft Corporation. I never had the pleasure of meeting Bill or Melinda, but I did work for them for a number of years. Yeah, interesting. The great and powerful turtle. It's turtles all the way down, man. It's turtles all the way down. But yet, no, that's a funny story. Ted Turner did hit on my wife once. We were at her work Christmas party. She used to work for Time Warner. And he was there. Hit on her right in front of me. Like I wasn't even there. He's well on his way to bankrupting the farmers. It's already happening in northern New York. Right, in northern New York State and in Vermont, not so much New Hampshire. The dairy farmers there depend on cattle feed from Canada. Of course they do. They're in the middle of fucking nowhere. Canada's right across the border. So what happens? Guy brings in his cattle feed last week. And I saw one number, instead of, I think the bill was normally $2,500. And instead of $2,500, it was almost $5,000. Poor. Crazy. So those dairy farms, they're all going out of business. You can forget it. Bill Gates is the largest private farm landowner in the country, is he? I wonder why. What's he doing with all that? Oh, the data centers. He needs the land for the data centers, right? That would be my guess. Those data centers of his take up a lot of space. Krager, nobody is stopping Ukraine from turning Moscow into Dresden. What's stopping Ukraine from doing that, besides the fact that it's a war crime? But besides that, the reason that they haven't is because they don't have the weapons. They don't have enough weapons with enough range. They've got to be so particular about what they hit because they have so few long-range weapons. They cannot afford to send them out and not hit a juicy target. They gotta work every time. And so I think the Ukrainians tend to be conservative and hit the most high-priority targets that they can. Like the 265,000 tons of ammunition and conventional explosives at the GRAU 51st. That's a juicy target, baby. That's a juicy target. You know, Bobby, taking out the Kremlin is a fantasy of mine, I have to tell you. But right, Steve, there's hundreds of more important military targets. He's also into man-made food. He was into everything, that guy. Trump said it himself that you can't buy land in a great economy. It's too expensive. There you go. He said that after 9/11, right? Wait till corn and beans are ready to harvest. I don't know what the exact number is, but if I'm not mistaken, the March and April soybean orders from China for the U.S. have been nearly nil. 70% of U.S. soybeans are sold to China, and now they're not buying them. That's going to be a problem. What job did I do at Microsoft? I was the IT pro evangelist for Microsoft's Mid-Atlantic district in the early 2000s. So we did all the launch events, right? Like, remember XP, SP2? Remember that disaster? I was on board for that. Vista, I was on board for that. Windows 7, my expertise is in authentication and authorization systems, email messaging infrastructure, wide area connections, and security. So I did the unified communications launch for the Microsoft Corporation. I was one of 3 Microsoft employees that led that launch. It was a great time to be alive, getting up every morning, going out and changing the world. I like to think I'm still doing that, just it's a little different these days. Well, Musk is going bankrupt. Revenues at Tesla are down 71%, and I cannot hide the smile on my face as I say that. Take care, Michael. Ukraine is the one on the right side of history. No doubt about it. May Day Parade. May 9th is the Victory Day Parade. And there's a bunch of Europeans going that shouldn't be going. Fiasco is going. It wasn't just Fiasco. Who else? Orban is going. The U.S. is trying to send somebody. Marco Rubio might be there. Ugh. I don't know what they're going to put in the parade. Oh, I heard that they were borrowing shit from Kazakhstan. They have so little tanks and armor to put on display. They're borrowing shit from the Kazakhs. I mean, if that doesn't give you a warm feeling inside, I don't know what will. The EU membership is threatened if they go. What's her name? Kai Kallas was very clear that it was not a good move for a candidate nation to go there. That instead they should go to Kyiv. And Fiasco replied, fuck off, basically. How'd I get what, Bobby? I've been doing that on my whole life, pal. Now, it's distant, but I can hear the anti-aircraft fire. On a bridge somewhere, right? They're on the bridges because the Dnipro is a big river, right? Maybe a kilometer across. So what the Russians do is they fly the drones to the Dnipro, and then they fly them low below radar up of the Dnipro. So the gunners sit on the bridges, and they have these NATO bars on the guns that don't let them go any farther than, say, 30 degrees. Because if they go farther than that, the rounds are going to go into the buildings. So they have a very narrow range of fire. And the drones fly right up the Dnipro and they pick them off from the bridges. You hear that? Can they put nets up? You can't net the whole country. That's not a practical solution. Okay. So, guys, it's just about 1 a.m. Again, I want to thank our anonymous donor. Thank you so much. I want to thank Jerry O, my buddy in Ireland, who is really very a helpful guy. And I appreciate the help. I don't have any sponsors for the rest of the week. If anybody wants to sponsor a live, PayPal is in the description. If you like the channel, but you are not a member of the Patreon. Oh, hey, hang on. Hold on. Because this doesn't happen often. Hold on. Listen. Okay, so that's anti-aircraft fire, but it's gotten loud. Can you hear the drone? I can hear it. Hear it? Yeah. Sorry, I gotta get away from that window. Okay. That's loud. This is a loud night. Okay. Thank you, Ethelred. Like for me, I'm an old man, right? My children are grown and gone, right? They have great lives of their own. Every time I have to listen to this shit, all I can think about is my neighbor over here who's got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. And right now they are in their parents' room crying, and dad is picking up the little boy, mom is picking up the little girl. The little girl probably has the cat in her arms, and they're all going to sleep in the tub because that's the safest place for them. That's who I think about. Anyway, okay. Look, guys, the first of the month is coming and the rent is due and I don't have it. So if anybody can help with that, that would be great. Thank you. I don't have any sponsors for the rest of the week. Sponsorship, the PayPal is in the description. Thanks to our anonymous sponsor and to Jerry O. Thanks to Lars, who has the Discord server, Nightshade, who has the Peter's Peeps group, Jay and Travis, the moderator team. I do have a new appreciation, Jeff, for those Londoners that survived the Blitz. I mean, you know, intellectually, you always kind of have an idea of what that must have been like and everything. But living it does make it different. And I have a very deep appreciation for them. And for the people here. The people here. Anyway, okay. All right, kids. I bet it was. Dresden too. Dresden didn't even vote for the mustache man, you know. Remember, he was duly elected democracy. And those same bastards are running the same game plan on the American people. Okay. Thanks, everybody. If you're not a Patreon subscriber, it doesn't cost any money. You can have a free account. And in addition to my nightly live here, I produce every morning about a 20-minute news wrap-up, the news we are waking up to. And if you like this content, you would like that content. So get yourself a free Patreon account. All right, kids, make it a great day. Good night, laddie. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Take care. This stupid verification thing is up. And so I can't stop the live. I have to do the puzzle first. And it's a new puzzle. I don't know this one. I'm not getting it right. There we go. This is a behind the scenes feed now. Yes, it is. Freedom doesn't last. Yes, it is. All right. Good night, everybody. I'll talk to you tomorrow.